I may as well have audio on while I struggle with technology. Good evening, Mr. Meat. Hello. Hello, Mr. Pants. I may be able to add the chat box. That will at least give Lovely something to look at. There we are. I'm quite surprised that I've managed to make it this far. For someone who is supposed to be the technological liaison for this little operation, I do tend to have technological difficulties. With unfortunate frequency. In theory, however, I should be live. And please, by all means, let me know of any distracting audio issues. Might be trouble on the Twitch side, alright. It's very strange streaming to Twitch. Although the strangeness I know is in my own head. But there are so many VTubers especially who I watch and am aware of. And it seems strange to be on the same platform at the same time. Currently, to keep you updated, I have my model displaying and tracking correctly on my phone, and I'm attempting to stream it to my PC. Once that's done, I should be able to actually show you lovelies. I do wish I had set up the chat beforehand. From what I can see, that looks a touch difficult to read. I may as well do an audio sync. If you would be so kind as to enter 3 when I get to 1, 2, 3, then I can test and see what the lag is like. it is indeed the white background. Oh dear. Quite a bit of lag then, but that's alright. Something I can adjust in the future. Excellent. Oh, 29 seconds. That's not awful. I've successfully dealt with worse. And a little bit of scuff is very in keeping with the quality of the model I'm currently streaming under. However, I'm not worried. I've learned quite a bit just from working on this model. And so the next one will be even better. Thank you for offering puds, but I shall address the Twitch issue in a moment. Once I have something to actually show them. Oh dear. I'm seeing quite a lot of messages in the Twitch chat and I don't know how old they are. The hazards of attempting to multi-stream. Oh no. I did not mean to be ignoring my my poor Twitch viewers. Hello, David. I'll work on one problem at a time. So yes, I will be going off of Twitch, and I will not attempt to multi-stream there. So, good start. Rest in peace, Twitch, indeed. It happened to be the second panel in setting up the multi-stream, so it is the one being sacrificed. Now, with that out of the way, I can return to attempting to show something, anything. This might simply be an audio stream. Or perhaps not. The model successfully loaded, so that's something at least. And now the model is successfully tracking. Thank every god in any pantheon you wish. An audio-only stream would indeed be cozy. It would certainly be cozier than following along as I attempt to make heads or tails of this. But on the plus side, now that I've actually done this once, next time should be much easier, or at least simpler. Like ASMR in a sense. I don't know if I would be any good at ASMR. the nice thing about this stream is that someday, when I have 100,000 viewers, all clamoring for my attention as I start one of my amazing, high quality, very famous streams, you all can look back and think of this stream. I knew her when it still says I'm live on Twitch. This should make up its mind. Come on, Streamlabs. Am I live or not live? You knew her when she was just a voice, a disembodied logo. So, Lavender's true form revealed. The logo itself, yes. Of course, now you know I'll have to take corrective action. Can't have you knowing my secrets and surviving. Alright. I'm going to continue my learning by rigging tonight a little gremlin lily model. Now that you've waited a full half hour, I can do the large reveal without any fanfare. As much fanfare as it deserves. Oh dear, I don't think I can even do a fade on this yet. Just a very sudden transition. Hello, lovelies. I can't kill you. How would you know that, Mr. Meat? So, this is the model. The model itself created in 2 days, last Saturday and Sunday. And the rigging for it done over the past 3 days. Extremely rudimentary on both ends. But as I say, I learned quite a lot. Hello, lovelies. And an official hello to Puds and Meat and Debu, Professor Hawks. It's good to see you. Thank you. I too find it cute in in the way you might find a little bedraggled waterfowl of some sort cute. Thank you, thank you. Alright, enough about this model. Time to start working on this little gremlin of Lily here. I notice you can't actually see my cursor. Let me see if I can correct that first. Also, this is only the second time that I've done this, ever. So there will probably be some fussing around, trying to remember what's what and what goes where. How the process actually works. Hello, Theodric. It's lovely to see you. I was just attempting to retrieve my mouse. Hello, R. Wallace. Indeed, 2D. A very rudimentary 2D. A student driver type of model. A learner's permit type of model. I do think I've just figured out how to get my mouse back. So one moment. My apologies. I hope I don't give anyone whiplash. Snapping back and forth between scenes like this. Oh, thank you, Mr. Theodric. I'm glad you like how my model looks. Having a mouse would indeed be ideal. I don't think there's much use in showing you all my process if you can't actually see my process. Just Theodric is fine. I shall endeavour to remember that. Ah, there we are. In theory, this should now work. In theory. I'm glad you like my... Oh, you've got cool sleeves. I would very much like to see your cool sleeves. I don't know if you're referring to sleeves for sleeving cards or actual sleeves like tattoo sleeves. Probably tattoo sleeves. Makes the most sense. Right, so the first thing we'll need is for each component of this to be a mesh, which I'll do with just automatic mesh generation. And then the second thing I'll do is undo it, because I've already made a mistake. I don't want the background to be a mesh. The background can remain how it is. So now we have all of these lovely meshes. I really should do some renaming here. Oh, arm sleeves, like arm guards. That makes sense. Although I hope you'll forgive me for not immediately jumping to the assumption that they were armor. So, I don't think I'm going to start with all of the boring stuff. I think I'm going to begin with the more playful areas. This, as you can tell by the hasty sketching, is also a learning opportunity model. Specifically, I would very much like to undress the hair. Not armor either. Well, you'll have to show me. So I'm adding deformers here. These are the things that make the model actually, the pieces of it actually deform. I had a bit of a problem trying to use physics on my own hair. The little pieces of the mesh kept separating out. Lavender wants to undress something. I'm on YouTube, so I must say I have no idea what you're talking about. I can save that 2D modeling for other platforms. Alright, I realized I can't start with the fun things. I have to start from the beginning. Thank you for stopping by, Fujik. I hope to catch you next time as well. Each of these individual components will need its own warp deformer. So that I can deform them without actually moving the mesh around. At first, I was confused why I couldn't just animate by moving the mesh around. I believe some workflows, like those used by the Iron Vertex group, involve actual deformation of the mesh itself. But that makes it difficult to swap out new textures. And since the quality of textures that I'm using is not very high, not as high as Lily's able, I have a feeling that I'll be swapping out textures a lot in my rigging work. I have deformers for the eyes, so I can start to make sure that I have the right pattern here. Adding parameters. And now I'll just be moving the eyes left and right. So honestly, I only needed to select these two deformers. And moved all the way to the right. I'll have to do that one by one. You like my naming scheme? Which, calling them all group and layer 3, 14, 6 and 5. It's very intuitive. When I start to make models that are a little less for learning purposes, I'll definitely have to get better about naming convention. Hello, Frosty Cube. Lovely to see you. I'm glad you could stop by. Right now I'm setting the eye so that it clips to the eye white. I shall do the same for the right eye. Can this be applied to non-vector graphics? Actually, these are non-vector graphics. They appear to be vector graphics, but they're rasters. Essentially, you're turning them into vector graphics by adding the art mesh. They just don't start out that way. I remember stuff. I just didn't know if you wanted to be referred to as such. Some people like to keep different usernames on different platforms. You wish to revive an old tech demo, R. Wallace? What tech demo is that? Bringing back the talking Gorbachev. That's very intriguing. I'm curious. It's alive indeed. Well, somewhat. The eyes do move. I'm realizing right now that as much as I love the sort of fly-by-night nature of throwing things onto layers and not particularly caring what they're named, for instance, right now, to adjust the angle of the head, I need to select the lips, nose, eyes, eyebrows, and hair, which is going to be annoying. Hello, Mocha. I'm doing quite well, Steph. Thank you for asking. Even though this model has its issues, I'm very happy with how it turned out for the amount of time put into it. Alright, no more stalling for me. It's time to start creating deformers for all of these. Ah, Wallace, you created a VTuber of Mikhail Gorbachev. I'm amused. I should start naming these appropriately, even though I don't want to. Thank you, Mocha, you're very kind. The movement, I think, leaves something to be desired, but happily, I do know at least how to improve upon that movement. Thank you for the subscription, Mr. Fox. I'm glad you're happy to see a stream of mine again. I'm happy to see you on a stream of mine again, Steph. It doesn't much matter what you name things as long as you're consistent. As long as you can find them again. Yes, naming is very helpful. Of course, now that I've said that, I'm going to forget what I've actually named them. I'm going to forget my convention and look like a fool. That's alright. I use an underscore to indicate deformers, F to indicate a front piece, left and right indicated by F and L. I'm also somewhat hampered by trying to readjust my muscle memory to Windows shortcuts rather than Mac shortcuts. The slight variation is enough to throw me for a loop, I'm afraid. Right, I have deformers for all of the front hair pieces. Ears. I suspect that a lot of the difficulty in finding riggers, a lot of the time is spent doing just not busy work exactly. No, actually yes, I'll call it what it is. It's a lot of naming. A lot of doing the same thing over and over. A lot of renaming. Indeed, switching from one program to another or one operating system to another. It's strange. I don't think I appreciate how powerful muscle memory is until it's working against me. Universal keybinds, I'm sure there are. Just none that I've learned. I'm sure there's programs out there. Or I could remap keystrokes or something. Can't relate to those woes. That's fair. They're not universally relatable. This portion only seems dreadfully boring because it is, but it will be extremely helpful in the future. Some programs don't let you remap. That is true. Oh yes, the same in games. 2 games which have similar mechanics but are mapped to different keys. One thing I found quite interesting about using Live 2D is that I knew that a lot of it was just animation with parallax. I didn't realise that was pretty much the entirety of it. Clever parallax tricks. Which is at once encouraging and discouraging. No, I shouldn't say discouraging. It makes the artists a lot more impressive, in my opinion. How many times have you accidentally blown yourself up with a grenade because of that problem, Vance? What is parallax? Well, I'm glad you asked. The timing works out well. So we have this face. It's obviously entirely in 2D. to give it the impression of three-dimensionality, or at least three-dimensional motion, the front of the face will move at a different rate than, say, the back of the hair. The pieces of hair will move at different rates than each other. That's how you can tell when I'm turning my head, as opposed to when I'm just shifting. Both are movements in a horizontal direction, but they visually appear different. Oh dear, this is already a bit of a mess. But I shall survive. So, we shall turn the head to the right, to the left. Her left, our right. By adding empty keyframes, and then it's just moving the head a little. And then perhaps some slight adjustments. Make the chin a little more pronounced. Now, of course, that looks awful because it's just the shape of the head. We essentially need to do the same thing with everything. The nose and the blush. We can probably get away with just moving and squashing a bit. The eyes, I've noticed, are difficult. Oh dear, I need a deformer for the entirety of the eye. It didn't seem to like that, and I'm not sure why. As far as I'm aware, all of these should have the same parent deformer. I should turn on sticky keys. I don't think that would be particularly useful for me. Alright. Do as I say, not as I do. But since this model only exists so that I can try to figure out physics-based hair motion, I'm going to use a temporary deformer to adjust the mesh itself. You know, that exact thing I told you all not to do. Or that I don't do, rather. Turns out I do, in fact. Being naughty. lot of this process is in simply trial and error to find something that looks right. And hoping that you can find it. For instance, that is not at all what looks right. Whatever it is I just did there. What on earth did I do there? I haven't the slightest idea. So we're going to try again. Oh, because I'm using a temporary deformer. I see. I can't actually adjust the mesh. So I won't use a temporary deformer at all. Just raw mesh manipulation. I do believe I'm at the point where, as long as it's not interrupting my process, I don't care how her eyes look. I want the hair. This whole thing is an attempt to play with the hair. So my new goal is to make it so that her eyes look just fine enough that they don't mess with my brain. Make the eyes look okay enough that I can focus on the hair. And if all else fails, I will take the horror movie route and just remove her eyes. I am determined. Oh dear. I really shouldn't have streamed until I was a bit more confident with my process. But it's alright. I don't mind, lovely, seeing how awful I am at this right now, because it makes it all the more impressive when I become great at it. Alright, let's go ahead and repair that eye. As much as we can. Halloween lily. Oh no. This poor mangled lily is going to end up posted everywhere, isn't she? Oh well. This is why, when attempting a very sketchy and rudimentary rigging, one must use sketchy and rudimentary art assets, because no one is going to look at this and think, oh goodness, look at that finished model. It looks so deformed. Good enough. Oh, no eyebrows. Where are her eyebrows? There they are. Better than you could do. I don't know, I've seen your 3D work. I think that, as with many lovelies, in many situations with many skills, you sell yourself short. I think that many people are far more capable than they realize if they had the right instruction. Yeah, it'll win no animation awards, but it'll do for the time being, for what I want it to. This leaves me with, it looks like, half an hour to figure out hair physics. I'm up to the challenge. Ignore her ears. No, we can't ignore her ears because they'll show up much more in the when the hair is moving around. I do think that you wake up at 3 AM and see this mini lily on your nightstand. What do? Smash it. In a non-fun way. It's clearly coming for your soul. As much as I am struggling with this, it's going to make animation, I think, quite easy once I get some workable assets. What was I doing? Hair. So, the problem I had with hair before was that it was separating along the mesh. The different vertices weren't sticking to one another, which led to my hair sort of exploding all over the place. I would not recommend it. For the actual motion, I'll just have all of the hair moving. Although this piece won't look like it's moving as much, nor will this piece. Good Lord, that eye. Again, not important. Who would play with Lily's fox ears? They're quite soft. This little gremlin model doesn't show it as much, but alright, now I'll start with this one and adjust the mesh by hand so that I can add in some extra mesh material. Don't smash Gremlin Lily. Look at this. That would be terrifying to wake up to next to your face. Adding a deformation path. And then this part. This is where I get the error message that I'm not quite sure what it means. So I try to use the deformation path for skinning. It worked that time. Slightly worrisome. Then I'll use this one and do the same thing. Subdivide. Oh dear. Add a deformation path. I don't remember how many I added to the other. Rats. There it is. Right. For symmetry's sake, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As you wake up with that in your bed, it should die. Just look at how sketchy the lines are. It would probably scratch you to death. Alright, we've got 2 nice little deformation paths here. So now we should be able to go into the physics panel, which you lovelies are not able to see. So I should change that. Make a tiny home for Gremlin Lily. Streamlabs is not allowing me to show you lovelies the physics window. So I'll just talk it through and move quickly. I'm adding a physics group, naming it Hair Test. Adding the input of the head and adding a pendulum so that when she moves, the pendulum swings. Then in the output, I am adding all of these, oh god, all of these horribly named layers, which I certainly hope are the pieces of her hair, because if they're not, then I have messed this up. Alright, so essentially I'm taking the pendulum, attaching little pieces of her hair to the pendulum, and then setting the pendulum to swing whenever her head moves. The problem with this is I have to do a little bit of, not quite hunt and peck. I have to play around with the values of how much each of these pendulums affects her hair, affects each little portion of her hair. Oh dear, okay. Right. This is, I think this will work. It's probably going to work a little too well. By a little too well, I mean much, much, much too well. But I shall see. If I just make very intense hair motions, then I will at least know if they've worked or not. But first, before I do that, I need to take all of these essentially reflect so that everything moves in the opposite direction for the opposite X as well. So I don't have to do it by hand. Take this and reflect it. Alright. This is going to look silly no matter what, but hopefully it looks silly because the hair will move in the right way, just very extreme, and will not look silly in that the hair will fall off or something. Here we are. Well, that's very much perfect. So this is basically commission ready. I could reach out to Vishojo, offer them a model rigged like this. But I think it's better if they come to me, you know. Well, that little adventure was not wonderful. However, in the physics settings, the hair moves. I am masterful. What do you mean it looks silly? I don't understand. It looks fine to me. You might not like it, but this is what the ideal anime waifu body looks like. As I say, this will make it all the more impressive the next time you see me stream, where I shall be in a much improved model. That being said, this does seem like a good time to end this stream. Thank you for your patience, and thank you for joining me, lovelies. Despite the truly remarkable amount of scuff, and despite the sore throat that's driving me away early, this was quite a lot of fun. I very much appreciate you all. So I will wish you all a good night. And perhaps talk a little bit on Discord, depending on how long I wish to stay awake working on this. Good night, my lovelies.